Socy Dark Talks is back. Open the door, and I will tell you 5 scariest true haunted hospital stories, Part 2. 1. Yorktown Memorial Hospital in the USA. The Yorktown Memorial Hospital, located in Texas, USA, was established in 1950 by a Catholic group known as the Felician Sisters. It once served as a rehabilitation center for individuals struggling with drug and alcohol abuse. After 30 years of operation, it was closed in 1980 and has since become a desolate place. From that time on, Yorktown Memorial has been regarded worldwide as a hotspot for those fascinated by the mysterious and eerie. Talking dolls or glowing red eyes in the darkness are just some of the phenomena associated with Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Back to a summer night in 1900, under the gentle moonlight shining through the hospital's old windows, a mass murder occurred that no one could explain. It was said that a tall figure in a black cloak appeared out of nowhere, entering the hospital undetected. That night, the sound of calm footsteps echoed through the corridors, each step spreading horror. By dawn, a tragedy was discovered. Numerous doctors, nurses, and patients were found lifeless, each with a small cut over their heart. There were no signs of struggle. It seemed as though each victim had passed away peacefully. The police attempted to investigate, but found no clues. There were no fingerprints, no evidence, no witnesses. This mass murder became a mystery. 5 years later, a group of curious young people, hiring a supernatural researcher, decided to explore Yorktown Memorial Hospital to document the strange phenomena. They equipped themselves with cameras, recorders, and an unshakable courage. However, what they experienced far exceeded their imaginations. Among the explorers was a member named Marcus, who was particularly obsessed with the story of Yorktown Memorial. Marcus, outwardly tough but with a sensitive soul, was drawn to the unresolved mysteries. As night fell and the group began their exploration, Marcus felt an invisible force pulling him away from the group, leading him to the former director's office. There, Marcus discovered an old diary containing deep secrets about the massacre. The dim light of his flashlight revealed the handwritten notes, unveiling an astonishing truth. The massacre was not the act of a madman, but the result of a medical experiment gone wrong, secretly conducted by the hospital's director and a group of doctors. They had attempted to create a drug to extend life, but instead produced a deadly virus that caused the infected to lose consciousness and inflict wounds upon themselves. The group found a secret room in the hospital filled with records and evidence of the experiments. In this room, they also discovered a large container filled with a liquid where the deadly virus was still preserved. However, some crucial formulas in the experiment notebook had been torn out by someone before Marcus's group arrived, suggesting that the experiment might still be ongoing, but they couldn't find out the rest of the truth. This discovery shocked the global scientific community for a while afterwards. To this day, it is believed that this experiment laid the groundwork for the deadly gases used in World War II. 2. Gonjiam Hospital in Korea. The Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital, located near Seoul, South Korea, served as the filming location for the horror movie Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. In 2012, CNN Travel rated Gonjiam Hospital as one of the most terrifying places on the planet. In a world fascinated by intense sensations and curious about supernatural phenomena, Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital has become legendary. The story begins with Hana, a young documentary filmmaker who decides to create a groundbreaking piece on the mysteries harbored by Gonjiam Hospital. In the summer of 2014, she assembles a team of supernatural experts, spiritual researchers, and a few brave friends to explore and document the mysterious occurrences there. Their exploration begins on a full moon night, with the silver moonlight shining through the hospital's shattered windows, creating a scene both eerie and mystical. From their first steps into Gonjiam, a chill air envelops them, giving each person an indescribable shiver. Armed with recording equipment, cameras, and modern measuring devices, Hannah's team starts their investigation. They discover that, despite the hospital being abandoned for many years, it seems to still be inhabited by the restless spirits of patients and doctors. Whispers, footsteps, and even cries for help from the ether make the atmosphere even more oppressive. As the night deepens, a horrifying event occurs. June, a member of the group, suddenly vanishes without a trace. While searching for June, Hannah and her team accidentally uncover a sealed room hidden behind rotting wooden panels. Behind the door, they find the diary of the hospital's head, revealing the gruesome experiments he conducted on patients, transforming them into entities unable to escape. At that moment, from the darkness, a scream of agony echoes, followed by the appearance of vague shapes, faces filled with pain and anger of trapped souls. It seems they want Hannah's team to help them escape eternal torment. In a moment of desperation, as the group prepares to leave, they find June in a deep coma, lying next to an old note. "Free us." The group quickly takes June out of the hospital and seeks help from spiritual experts to release the trapped souls. In the days that follow, Hannah and her team work tirelessly with experts, conducting spiritual ceremonies within Gonjiam Hospital. Each ceremony is an eerie experience, with bizarre phenomena occurring continuously. Flashlights suddenly go out, cold winds blow despite the windows being shut tight, and whispers echo throughout the space. But each time, a sense of peace gradually replaces their fear. Finally, in a special ceremony on the next full moon night, after hours of chanting and praying, Hannah's team feels a shift in the atmosphere. The light from the candles suddenly brightens, and a warm breeze passes through, carrying the gratitude of the freed souls. Jun wakes up the next morning with no memory of his disappearance, feeling an odd relief. When Hannah and her team return to the hospital to pack up their equipment, they find that the heavy, oppressive air has dissipated, replaced by a sense of peace and harmony with nature. However, as they leave the hospital, a haunting conclusion awaits them. In the car on the way back, a vague figure appears in the rearview mirror, smiling at them. One of the souls, a doctor who had worked at Gonjiam, decides to follow them as a reminder that, although other souls have been freed, the story of Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital is not yet fully concluded. This doctor wants them to return, not only to uncover more about the hospital's dark past, but also to free the remaining souls, those they hadn't been able to reach during their mission. Hannah and her team realize that, although they have completed a part of their mission, their journey with Gonjiam Hospital continues. They decide to return, not just to continue their work, but also to learn more about the hospital's mysteries and to fully liberate all the trapped souls. In the following months, Hannah and her team make several return trips to Gonjiam, each journey filled with new determination and hope. They continue to document, research, and conduct ceremonies with the help of spiritual experts. Gradually, they begin to notice a significant change in the hospital's atmosphere, signs that they are getting closer to their ultimate goal. One night, during the most crucial ceremony, a strange light begins to illuminate the entire hospital, and a gentle song fills the air, like a chorus from heaven. As the light fades, Hannah and her team see figures, once again appearing and smiling at them before disappearing completely into thin air. The story of Hannah's team was published on social media platforms in South Korea and sparked a wave about the most famous tourist destination of the year. Beechworth Psychiatric Hospital in Australia. The Psychiatric Hospital, located on a 106-hectare campus in Beechworth, Victoria, started its operations in 1867. The hospital could accommodate over 1,200 patients. Even before rumors of its haunting began, it had already become one of the most terrifying places in Australia, with over 3,000 patients dying there in its 128 years of operation. After numerous mysterious deaths, the hospital closed its doors in 1995. The story begins in the 1950s when the hospital decided to embark on a human experimentation project aimed at creating a superhuman capable of withstanding any disease or injury. Under the leadership of Dr. Adler, a talented but insane scientist, the research team began conducting experiments on unfortunate patients chosen as test subjects. These patients were subjected to painful experiments without any idea of the horrendous project they were a part of. But the experiment went too far. One stormy night, a horrific incident plunged the hospital into chaos. A new virus, a byproduct of the project, suddenly became uncontrollable, turning the test subjects into bloodthirsty, ferocious creatures. They attacked everyone in the hospital, from doctors to patients, creating an unprecedented night of terror. After this event, the hospital was permanently closed, and the story of the terrifying experiments gradually became a dark legend. However, it seems the spirits of the experimented patients never left the place, turning the old hospital into a haunted house where screams, moans, and footsteps of invisible entities echo through the night. Years later, a group of people fascinated by haunted locations decided to enter the hospital, hoping to document some supernatural phenomena. But what awaited them inside was a completely different world, where the boundary between life and death became blurred. During their exploration, they discovered Dr. Adler's diary, detailing every aspect of the project and his deep regret for the consequences it had caused. The group also encountered unexplainable and terrifying phenomena. Lights suddenly turned off, footsteps and whispers echoed through the corridors, and their recording devices captured vague images of figures moving in the darkness, despite being the only people there. As they ventured into Dr. Adler's secret laboratory, they discovered it intact, with notes and sketches of horrendous experiments. They found a large metal cage that seemed to have once held some creature, now only showing signs of madness and despair. While exploring, a terrifying incident left everyone in shock. One of the team members, while trying to film a dark corner, was suddenly pulled into the darkness by an unseen hand. A scream was heard, but when the others turned around, they found only the camera dropped on the floor, with no sign of their companion. Realizing the danger of staying, the group decided to leave the hospital immediately, taking the camera and Dr. Adler's diary as evidence of what they had witnessed. On their way back, they debated whether to reveal what they knew, fearing that the truth might never be accepted or, worse, could put them in greater danger. But the story didn't end there. After returning, each team member started experiencing strange phenomena at home, unusual noises, haunting dreams about the hospital, and the feeling of being watched. It seemed the spirits of the patients and Dr. Adler, along with the creatures from the experiments, were not willing to let them leave peacefully. The story of the haunted Beechworth Hospital and the secret human genetic experimentation became a dark legend, a warning about the dangers of humanity trying to surpass the limits of nature and ethics. Although Anna's group escaped the hospital, they realized they couldn't escape the dark past they had uncovered. They understood that by revealing these secrets to the world, they were not only freeing the spirits, but also warning humanity about the potential risks of meddling with mysteries beyond their control. Eventually, Anna decided to publish everything they had recorded and the discoveries in Dr. Adler's diary. Her documentary, The Darkness of Beechworth, quickly became a phenomenon, drawing global attention to the dangers of human experimentation and its unforeseen consequences. However, with this fame, Anna and her team also became targets for mysterious forces wanting to keep these secrets hidden. Tragically, Anna was found dead in her apartment that same year, but the perpetrator behind her assassination remains unsolved to this day. 4. 𝐒𝐨𝐤𝐚𝐥 Psychiatry in Hong Kong. The 𝐒𝐨𝐤𝐚𝐥 Psychiatry Hospital in Hong Kong, built in 1892, harbors some of the most terrifying ghosts in Asia and has become an inspiration for numerous eerie horror films. Locals refer to it as the ghostly hospital due to the chilling tales passed around about the moans of spirits and unrestful death within its walls. Rumor has it that the hospital was once a treatment center for hundreds of patients, but a mysterious epidemic claimed their lives, including the medical staff. After the tragedy, the hospital was closed and forgotten, but the souls of those who passed away could never find peace. About 3 blocks from the hospital, there's a high school known for gathering the most rebellious kids in the city. One night in 1920, a group of students, curious about exploring the spiritual world, decided to visit this most haunted site and make a video for their YouTube channel. Entering the hospital, they felt enveloped by cold, damp air. Their footsteps echoed through the dark corridors, every step making them feel as though someone was watching from behind. As they ventured deeper, an unease slowly took over their minds, but curiosity urged them on. In an old patient room at the end of a hallway, they found several bodies strangely preserved in glass coffins. The group stood silent before the haunting scene, the bodies appearing intact despite years of neglect. Suddenly, one of their recording devices picked up incomprehensible whispers, while a camera automatically captured the image of a vague figure standing near the coffins. A sudden cold gust blew through, and all their flashlights went out. The whispers grew clearer, and they began to hear footsteps approaching. In the darkness, they felt the presence of something very close. Deciding it was time to leave, they turned to find the entrance they had come through had disappeared, as if covered by the old walls. With no other choice, they began searching for another exit, passing through haunted patient rooms and areas reclaimed by nature, where vegetation grew through the cracks in the walls and roof. While searching for a way out, one team member suddenly stopped, staring intently at a corner. The rest followed his gaze and discovered a wall that seemed newly constructed, different from the rest of the hospital. Curiosity led them to break through the wall, and behind it, they found a room containing dozens of records of experiments conducted at the hospital, brutal and inhumane experiments on children and the elderly. The records revealed they were conducting a super experiment to extract stem cells from children to rejuvenate the elderly. As they pored over the records, they began to hear strange noises from behind another door. An irresistible force compelled them to open it, revealing a dark laboratory filled with old medical equipment and more glass coffins, each containing the bodies of experimented patients. The light from their flashlight made the corpses seem to move, creating an unforgettable horror. At that moment, a scream echoed from the end of the laboratory. They turned to see a group of people in patient clothes with pale skin and red eyes slowly moving toward them. The ghosts of the deceased patients, now alive in the dim light, wanted to share their sorrowful stories with the living. The group of young explorers, hearts racing with fear, found an emergency exit leading outside the hospital. They ran without looking back, leaving behind the horrifying mysteries and sorrowful spirits of the 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐢𝐚 Psychiatry Hospital. After their ghostly adventure, they decided never to return, and their night of terror became a new legend among the stories of the most famous haunted hospitals in Hong Kong. 5. Iowa Psychiatric Hospital in the USA. The story of the cruel experiments by Wendell Johnson and Mary Tudor became a dark secret buried under the dust of time until 2001, when a reporter from the San Jose Mercury News investigated the case and exposed the truth to the public. They found old records and evidence of the experiment, and the more they uncovered, the more they realized the horrifying truth. The method was conducted through direct interviews to find a link between psychological trauma and the development of brain defects, leading to speech impairments. In the first group, Wendell practiced speaking and encouraged the children. In the second group, he switched to a critical attitude, cursing and despising the children who stuttered. These children grew up in fear, developing speech and pronunciation defects. From children who were developing normally, the experiment caused them disabilities for the rest of their lives. As night fell, strange phenomena began to occur. Incomprehensible stuttering echoed through the dark corridors, cries interspersed with mocking laughter from the air. The students felt as though someone was watching them, sending shivers down their spine. One of them, James, felt drawn to an old room on the attic floor, where the experiment was conducted. In the room, he found an old painting depicting a group of children with sorrowful faces. James didn't understand why, but he felt their pain as if he was experiencing it himself. Meanwhile, his friends began hearing the voices of Wendell and Mary, scolding and berating them, although no one was seen. By midnight, when James touched the painting, he and his friends suddenly found themselves in another world, a world where they became the children in the experiment, feeling all the pain and fear those children had endured. They tried to escape the nightmare, but each attempt to flee only drove them deeper into the darkness of the past. Only when dawn broke, a long scream echoed and freed them from the nightmare. They returned to the present world, but each was deeply changed. James and his group decided to tell the story of the children in the Iowa orphanage to ensure their pain would never be forgotten. They used their skills and knowledge to create a documentary detailing the experiment and its consequences for the children. The film quickly attracted public and media attention, sparking outrage across the country. Debates about ethics in psychological research and how society cares for unfortunate children surged. Their story also ignited interest in seeking justice for the experiment's victims, leading to an official investigation and public acknowledgement of the wrongdoings that had occurred. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel so you won't miss out any creepy tales and scary adventures in the upcoming videos. This is Socy Dark Talks. Stay curious and embrace the darkness.